Welcome back. We are in chapter 6 today, critical theory. This is the weapon of cultural Marxism is how you describe it, and it's a term that we're hearing more and more. Actually, I think we've heard it as critical race theory, a specific application of the theory. But in chapter 6 then, we're going to hear from devoted Marxists the explanations of why Marxism has failed. But for us, as we gather as Christians and from our view of the world, why is it that Marxism has failed as compared to what they have diagnosed it as?
Another great question. If we went back to chapter 4, one of the things that we would see is that Marxism depends upon people being basically good, and that if this perfect earthly utopia of equality existed, that everyone would then be content and they'd be just fine, and we'd all sing Kumbaya and walk together arm in arm. But as Christians, we see that we have a sinful heart. In cultural Marxism as itself, it actually fundamentally misunderstands the nature of man, which prevents any kind of earthly utopia from existing.
So man is good, inherently good, in the Marxist worldview?
And it relies on that as well.
Okay.
Because unless you have a man being basically good, you could never, of course, achieve an earthly utopia of perfect equality. And I think we all know this here. One of the examples I use, with fairness is, you have two children, you have one piece of cake, and you could divide that piece of cake just perfectly. It's absolutely equal for each child, and yet, are the children perfectly happy? No. We still have that same nature.
That's not fair.
Yeah. This fundamental misunderstanding of the sinful nature of man prevents any kind of earthly utopia from existing. But beyond that, Marxists still know, they're out there, and this is an important point again, that, there must be some reason this fails. And so one of the followers of Marx, this is a person that really we need to know, his name is Antonio Gramsci, and he was in prison in Italy and the like, and he was a follower of Marx, and he wrote these notebooks, and you could certainly go online or your library and find out what he wrote, but really it was, why did Marxism fail? This is such a great thing, Marxism. What happened here? And the conclusion he came to was that there were elements of every society that bound a society together in a certain amount of harmony. And so, if you recall, Marxism is about dividing people and pitting them against one another. But every society has parts that bring people together. So, for instance, the family unit that binds a society together. Religion, it binds a society together. Schools and what we're learning, that binds a society together. And so Gramsci said, aha, what do we need to do? We need to criticize and we need to attack those elements of a society that hold it together. We need to criticize those things in an unrelenting fashion. Henceforth, remember that term you used at the beginning? Critical theory. We have to tear apart the society in order for Marxism then to thrive.
So in order to make way for Marxism, which divides and pits people against one another, we have to double down on the division and pitting against one another.
Nothing like doubling down on division.
Yeah, well, and our sinful hearts as Christians know that we often do this. So that's definitely not an issue. Well, hey, blessings on your study in chapter 6. We'll see you again next time.